Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Welcome back to our series, The Soul's Path Home, Divine Wisdom on Death and Beyond, where we continue to reflect on the stages of human existence, from life until death and well beyond, from the perspective of the Quran and the teachings of the Ahlul Bayt. May Allah's peace and blessings be upon all of them. Today, being the 27th day of the month of Ramadan, we realize that the month is slipping by very fast. And in a few days, although we will be happy to celebrate the Eid, however, we will also be sad in the loss of a close, near and dear friend, the month of Ramadan. Today, we want to look at the theme of comfort for the living, ongoing deeds. Every human being must eventually leave this world. However, our connection to them does not end with their death. We retain fond memories of them in our hearts. We keep photos of them around to remind ourselves of who they were and what they meant to us. We may make regular mention of them to family and friends, just as our beloved Prophet Muhammad, may Allah bless him and his family, would do with Al-Mu'mineen Khadija, peace be upon her. Many years after her passing, when he was in Medina, he would remember her, and he would even respect the friends of Al-Mu'mineen Khadija alayhi salam and send them food. In short, our loved ones are gone, but they are far from forgotten. One question which is normally asked is that what can we do to help our loved ones out in the new world that they now reside in? Is there anything that you and I can do on their behalf to give them an extra blessing in their barzakh? Is there anything that we can send for them? Well, let me say this. Each one of us are expected to lead exemplary lives, and we must do all of the good that we can do for our own selves and send goodness ahead for our own benefit. We must never become complacent and think, well, my spouse, my children, my family, my friends, my jamaat, my community, they'll get together, they'll pool their financial resources, they'll spend time, their energy, and they'll do good deeds for me and send me all the rewards. They'll do a Surah Yasin every Thursday in my mosque. Well, they may do this. However, are you certain, am I certain, that they will continue to do this after 3, 5, 10, 20, 50 years? Or even after 1 year will they do it? That's why I constantly remind the believers when I go to various communities that we need to live a DIY lifestyle. Do it yourself. You and I need to ensure that we are regularly taking out money and donating it to as many causes as possible. Just as you and I like to diversify our investment portfolio into many areas, we need to do our best to diversify our spiritual investment portfolio and donate to multiple causes. Local food banks and other projects that benefit our local community. Educational projects and programs such as the funding of independent Islamic schools. Propagational initiatives such as the support of book authoring, translating, publishing, online content creation such as this, and much more. Now, this can also be extended to projects that deliver clean water to people, provide food, clothing, shelter, medication to deserving individuals. Really, the list goes on. But moving back to the topic, the Quran beautifully reminds us of this in Surah Yasin, a chapter that we all know all too well. Chapter 36 of the Quran, where Allah says, "Surely it is we who will bring the dead to life, and we record what they send ahead to the hereafter, and what they leave behind of good and evil. Everything we have written down and kept in a manifest record." This verse highlights a profound reality. Even after we depart, the traces of our actions remain, the good and the bad. Our deeds do not disappear, brothers and sisters. They continue to live on and have an impact on the world and on our souls in the hereafter. However, let's move into the concept of ongoing good deeds, which is the theme for today. So in the teachings of the Prophet, may Allah bless him and his family, and in the Ahlul Bayt's words, may God's peace and blessings be upon all of them as well, the idea of a perpetually rewarding deed, or Sadaqatul Jariyah, it holds great significance. This term, which is actually found in the hadith, as we will see, refers to those actions which benefits continue. It refers to those actions whose benefits, rather, continue even after a person's death. So in this respect, the Prophet Muhammad, may Allah bless him and his family, is reported to have said, when the human being dies, when the child of Adam dies, their deeds are cut off, except for 3. A righteous child who prays for them, knowledge from which others benefit after them, and ongoing charity. These ongoing deeds, brothers and sisters, serve as a source of comfort for the deceased, easing their experience in barzakh and elevating their status in the hereafter. Now, today, on this 27th day, let's explore this hadith in some depth to better appreciate it and try and implement it in our lives to bring comfort to the deceased. The first point the Prophet said was a righteous child who prays for them. The first continuing deed is a righteous child who prays for their parents. This emphasizes the importance of raising children with strong faith and moral values that are on the path of Islam. This means that at a practical level, parents need to ensure. They need to ensure multiple things. They need to ensure that, 1, they are teaching their children the faith of Islam and instructing them in all of the beliefs and practices. They need to inculcate the love for daily prayers and encourage them to include their family in their supplications, their parents, their grandparents, great-grandparents, the list goes on. The list goes on from there. Number 2 is that parents must also ensure that they are instilling love for the Ahlul Bayt, peace be upon them, into their children, and showing them the beauty of following the Ahlul Bayt and in the way that the Ahlul Bayt honored their parents, just as the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him and his family, did when he honored his mother and father, although he never met his father. Number 3, and lastly in this section, is parents must actively educate their children about the importance of visiting the graveyard and reciting Quran for the deceased, and in doing good actions. Not just teaching them, but leading by example. The second part of the hadith is knowledge from which others benefit. The second continuing deed, as the Prophet talked about, is beneficial knowledge that outlives its creator. This part, I would say, highlights the value of education and sharing wisdom in Islam. How can we live this in our lives for our deceased loved ones, and how can we carry this to our next generation? Well, here are some practical examples. Number 1 is that if we are not scholars and not able to write or translate books or create educational content or create a podcast or a YouTube station about Islamic teachings, we can financially support those that are engaged in this work, facilitating their projects to be published and distributed with the intention that it is for our deceased loved ones. Or number 2, we could work at establishing or supporting Islamic schools and Islamic seminaries, our full-time Islamic schools in the West, our Sunday schools in the West, and our local Islamic seminaries, the Hawza Ilmiya, in the West. Number 3, we can work at mentoring others in religious or secular knowledge that benefits society, something that most likely many of us can do. In our digital era, our books, articles, videos, podcasts, satellite TV stations, these are all mediums by which we can spread Islamic knowledge to the entire planet. One person receiving guidance through someone or something which we sponsor in the name of our dearly departed loved ones has the potential to earn us and them a lifetime, infinite lifetime of reward. Number 3 of the hadith of the Prophet was Sadaqatul Jariyah, ongoing charity. This third continuing deed is ongoing charity, as I said, is emphasized in this hadith. And the importance of this can never be, understood until we see its actual practice in life and the positive impact it leaves on society. A few practical examples that we can all try to do to the best of our ability include constructing or contributing to the construction of or the maintenance of a masjid, Husseiniya, or an Islamic center. Obviously, we need to ensure that we're not duplicating or wasting resources. What benefit is there to build a new masjid or Islamic center in our city when we already have 2 or 3 or 4? We have enough. Put an end to it. It may be better to put that money to better use. Build a senior citizens home. Build some facility the community needs, not another mosque. Number 2 is something which has not really been developed in the secular world as of yet, is a functional waqf, endowment fund, for charitable purposes that can continue to support Islamic centers, scholars, and educational projects. Number 3 are other actions such as creating scholarships for underprivileged children, both for secular studies and seminary studies, is something we have to think about. Now these and many other areas are things that we need to reflect upon and see what can we create to give ourselves and our loved ones an everlasting, continuous flow of peace and contentment in the grave. Well, from the teachings of the Ahlul Bayt, peace be upon them, let me tell you that this hadith which we are reviewing on what we can do to help our dearly departed loved ones aligns beautifully with our belief in the continuity of good deeds and their impact on our afterlife. It reminds us of the example set by our Imams, peace be upon them, who left behind a legacy of knowledge, of righteous followers and family and scholars that continue to benefit humanity centuries later. This hadith encourages us to think beyond our immediate lives and to consider how can we continue to accumulate blessings even after death. It motivates us to hopefully invest in our children's spiritual education, to seek and spread beneficial knowledge, and to establish lasting acts of charity in our own society. Moreover, it resonates with the emphasis from the Ahlul Bayt, peace be upon all of them, on maintaining strong family bonds and community ties. By raising righteous children and contributing to society's welfare, we strengthen the ummah and we honor the time-preserved teachings of the Ahlul Bayt. May God's peace and blessings be upon all of them. As we reflect on this hadith today, brothers and sisters, let us ask ourselves, how can we ensure that our good deeds continue after we've departed this world? What legacy do we wish to leave behind? May Allah grant us the wisdom to live in a way that our good deeds ripple through time, touching lives and accumulating blessings long after we've returned to Him. And may He reunite us with our Prophet and the pure Ahlul Bayt, peace be upon all of them, and allow us to be in the highest levels of paradise alongside them. Remember, as I conclude, remember, every small act of goodness, every word of wisdom shared, every child raised with love and faith can become a source of ongoing reward. Let us strive to make our lives a continuous flow of blessings that transcend even death itself. May Allah grant us the ability to perform deeds that continue to benefit us and others, and may He make our graves gardens from the gardens of paradise. We'll see you all tomorrow on the next installment of Ramadan Reflections for 2025. Until then, wassalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.